Hello children, this is Dr. Mini Dhawan and today I have brought CBSE Class 9 topic from History, Chapter 2, Socialism in Europe and Russian Revolution. This chapter talks about the emergence or coming into existence of socialism in Europe, that how it emerged. The Russian Revolution changed the society differently and raised the question of economic equality and well being of workers and peasants, which was never ever an important issue earlier. The chapter includes topics such as changes which were initiated by the new Soviet government, industrialization and mechanization of agriculture, rights of citizens, etc. The age of social change. Many social changes were taking place in Europe in 18th century. The French Revolution inspired the people with the ideals of liberty, equality, and justice. Many people had different views about how the government should work and about the rights of the people. While some people wanted the establishment of democratic principles, others supported the monarchical form of government, means king as the head or the ruler. After the revolution, individual rights and social power began to be discussed in many parts of the world, including Europe and Asia. Colonial development. It reshaped ideas of change in the society. But everyone was not in favor of complete transformation of society. After the revolution in Russia, socialism became one of the most significant and powerful idea to shape society in 20th century. The three main groups of people at this time were liberals, radicals, and conservatives. Now we'll try to understand each one of them. The liberals, they wanted a change in society. They wanted nation which tolerated all the religions. They believed in safeguarding the rights of people against the government, and they opposed uncontrolled power of dynastic rules, and they also argued for a representative government, a government where people send their representatives to parliament to make laws on their behalf. This is also called indirect democracy. They also argued for an elected parliamentarian government. The liberals, however, were not democrats, as they did not favor the principle of universal adult franchise. We won't be calling them democrats. Means right to vote to all adult citizens regardless of wealth, income, gender, social status, or any other restriction. They wanted law to be interpreted by a well-trained judiciary that was independent of rulers and officials. I would say they came halfway. They were very close to being a democrat, but still they wanted a government based on majority of country's population, but still certain things they were lacking, like universal adult franchise. That is really very important for a democracy to be a democracy. Equality status it gives to the citizen of the country. So they were in the favor of voting only by men and the propertied class. That was the main problem. Means people who owed property only they were supposed to give supposed to give vote, or they were having the right to vote. Radicals. The radicals wanted a government duly elected by majority of the people, majority of country's population. Many radicals they supported women's movement to achieve voting rights. They opposed the privileges enjoyed by landowners and wealthy factory owners. See, they were not against the notion of private property but were against the concentration of money in the hands of few sections of the society. So these were radicals. Now, the conservatives, they resisted change. The conservatives oppose the views and ideologies of liberals and radicals both. They opposed them. They believed in the privileges enjoyed by the nobility and the wealthy class, and they wanted, the old system to go on. They had a respect for that. But after French Revolution, we saw conservatives, uh, they were also bringing change in their ideas, and they believed in bringing changes at a very slow pace in society. Conservatives after the 19th century accepted changes but also believed that the past needed to be respected and change should begin very slowly, on a very slow pace. Industrial change and industrial society and social change. The industrial revolution first began in 18th century in England. You know that. Later it spread to the other parts of the Europe. Industrialization also resulted in large scale migration of people from villages to the cities in search of work opportunities as lot of industries were being set up. Workers, they worked for long hours at extremely low, very low wages. Housing and sanitation facilities were not given to workers. Unemployment was also growing as people were pouring into the cities in search of work. Industrial revolution led to changes in social and economic life. New cities came up and new industrialized regions, they started developing. Men and women, children came to factories in search of work, but unfortunately working hours were long and wages were very poor. There was unemployment during the time of low demand for industrial goods. Liberals and radicals made wealth through trade or by setting up industries. According to them, society could only be dwelt if the freedom of individual was ensured. And for them, freedom of individual was what? If the poor could labor and those with capital could operate with restrictions. In France, Italy, Germany, and Russia, revolutionaries had overthrown the existing monarchs. Now, nationalists, they were talking of revolutions to create nations with equal rights. The coming of socialism to Europe. Socialism was a well known body of ideas by mid 19th century in Europe. Socialists were against private property and saw it as the root of all social evils. Socialists believed that factory owners were earning a lot of profit because of the hard work which was being put in by the workers, but the factory owners did nothing to look after the welfare of the workers. So that was actually pain for them. They wanted to change it and they also campaigned for it. Robert Owen, a Welsh textile manufacturer, in 1824 he built a cooperative community called New Harmony in Indiana, USA. Louis Planck, he wanted the government to encourage cooperatives and replace capitalist enterprises. Karl Marx and Frederick Engels added other ideas to this body of arguments. According to Marx, industrial society was capitalist who owned the capital invested in factories, and the profit of capitalists was produced by workers. Capitalism and rule of private property were to be overthrown. So Marx was of the view that all property should be owned by the society only. Such societies would be communist societies. Marx believed that the communist society was a natural society of the future. These ideas spread to Europe by middle of the 19th century. By 1870, A socialist idea spread through Europe and they formed an international body which was named as the Second International. Now, the Second International, it was an organization created in July 1889 by socialist and labor parties who wanted to work together for international socialism. And it had to carry, it was supposed to carry the work of the First International, which stopped working, being an organization in 1886. So now associations were formed by workers in Germany and England to fight for better living and working conditions. The Labour Party and Socialist Party were formed by socialists and trade unions were formed by 1905. In Germany, the Socialist Democratic Party was formed. Socialist Party was formed in France and Labour Party was formed in Britain. So these parties were, however, not able to form government in their countries, but still, formation of parties was a big thing. Now we'll take up Russian Revolution. In October Revolution of 1917, socialists, they took over the government in Russia. There was a fall of monarchy in February 1917 and the events of October were termed as the Russian Revolution. So, what kind of empire was there before 1914? And what were the conditions in Russia on the eve of Russian Revolution? So, we are going to discuss that. See, from 1914 to 1918, First World War was going on. So, in 1914, Russia, which was ruled by Tsar Nicholas II, and its empire, the Russian Empire, included current day Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, parts of Poland, Ukraine, Belarus, and certain Central Asian states, Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan. So majority of the population was Russian Orthodox Christianity. Now let's check economy and society. At the beginning of 20th century, main occupation of Russian population was agriculture only. They used to cultivate for the market as well as for their own needs. After about 85% of the Russian population, they were engaged in agriculture activities. St. Petersburg and Moscow, they were prominent industrial areas. Craftsmen undertook much of the production, but large factories existed alongside craft workshops. In 1890s, more factories were set up after this foreign investment in industry increased. Large factories were supervised by the government to ensure minimum wages and limited hours of work. Sometimes the worker had to work for 15 hours at very low wages. So workers were divided into social group and they were also divided by their skills. Despite all these divisions, workers, they united to stop work when they disagreed with with their employers about dismissals or work conditions. Workers in Russia, they came from different backgrounds. The workers formed unions and declared strikes whenever the working conditions in factories deteriorated. Like France, most of the land in Russia also belonged to the nobility and the church. Russian peasants had no respect for the for the nobility and wanted the land of nobles to be given to them. As political parties were illegal in Russia, the party had to work as an illegal organization only. Socialism in Russia. Political parties in Russia were illegal before 1914, before First World War. In 1898, socialists, they found the Russian Social Democratic Workers' Party, who respected Marx's ideas. Some Russian socialists felt that the Russian peasant custom of dividing land periodically made them the natural socialist. So, throughout the 19th century, Socialists were active in the countryside and formed Socialist Revolutionary Party in 1900. The party struggled for peasants, their rights, and demanded land belonging to nobles to be transferred to peasants. The party was divided over strategy of organization in two parts, in Mensheviks and Bolsheviks. The Social Democrats, Mensheviks, differed from the Socialist Revolutionary Party, Bolsheviks, on the issue of farmers. Now, Socialist Revolutionary Party under Lenin believed that peasants cannot be the part of socialist movement, as some peasants were poor, some were rich, and some even employed workers on their field. So, according to Lenin, according to Vladimir Lenin, in the society, a repressive society like Tsarist Russia, the party should be disciplined and should control the number and the quality of its members. Mensheviks thought that the party should be open to all, and this was the major difference between Bolsheviks and Mensheviks. Now we'll talk about a very turbulent time, that was revolution of 1905. Russia was an autocracy. Autocracy means a system of government by one person with absolute power, and here it was Tsar, the ruler. And even at the beginning of 20th century, the Tsar was not subject to parliament. He was an autocrat and he enjoyed all the powers. Liberals, along with the social democrats and socialist revolutionaries, worked with peasants and workers to demand a constitution. For Russian workers, actually, bad times started from the year 1904 as prices of essential goods rose and their real wages declined by 20%. During this time, four members of Putilov Iron Works were dismissed. Workers went on strike, demanding a reduction in working days to 8 hours, and they also demanded increase in wages and improvement in working conditions. When procession of workers, which was led by Father Gapon, reached Winter Palace of Tsar, the procession, it was attacked by the police and Cossacks. Now, who were these Cossacks? Cossacks were they were self-governing warrior organization which was loyal to Tsar. About 100 workers were killed and 300 were wounded. So this incident is known as Bloody Sunday. It started a series of events which resulted in the 1905 revolution. Bloody Sunday marked the beginning of the strikes in the cities, with students, lawyers, doctors, and engineers walking out complaining about the lack of civil liberties. And under such circumstances, the Tsar, he allowed the creation of an elected parliament called Duma. He tried to control Duma. After 1905, most committees and union, they worked unofficially since they were declared illegal. Now, the First World War and the Russian Empire. I've told you earlier that in 1914, First World War broke, and two European alliances were there. One was Germany, Austria, and Turkey. They were known as Central Powers. And on one side, it was France, Britain, and Russia. And later, Italy and Romania also joined. So this was the First World War. It started in 1914 and it went till 1918. Initially, people of Russia supported the Tsar, but as the war progressed, as the war became popular, the Tsar, he refused to consult the main parties in the Duma. means main parties in the parliament. So support slowly it wore thin, and thin means becoming less. So during the war, anti-German feelings they ran really high, and here Tsarina, the wife of Tsar Alexandra, she had German origin, and she had a advisors, especially a monk was there named Rasputin. He was a Siberian saint, and he made the autocracy unpopular in Russia. So these were certain choices which were made by the royal family of Russia. Russian armies they suffered greatly in the hands of German and Austrian armies. The impact of the First World War on Russia was very bad. Agriculture and industrial production declined because several people participated in war. Many industries and many shops they closed down. Supplies of essential commodities were badly hit. The First World War was different on Eastern front, and it was different on Western front. From 1914 to 1916, Russian army they lost badly in Germany and Austria, and as they retreated, Russian army destroyed crops and buildings to prevent them going into enemy's hand. The country was cut off from the other supplies of industrial goods because Germans they controlled the Baltic Sea. Railway lines began to break down by 1916. For the people in cities, bread and flour became scarce. It became less. And by the winter of 1916, riots at bread shops were common scene. The destruction of crops and buildings led to over 3 million refugees in Russia. Russia's own industries were few in number, and the country was cut off from other suppliers of industrial goods. As I've told you, that Germans they were controlling the Baltic Sea. So as a result, there was labor shortage, and small workshop producing essential items were shut down. So then, the February Revolution in Petrograd. Now, Petrograd city was divided among its people. On the right bank of the river Neva, worker quarters were there and factories were located. And on the left bank, fashionable areas such as Winter Palace and official buildings were there. So, food shortages deeply affected the worker quarters. On the right bank, a factory was shut down on February 22nd. More workers from other factories they joined them in sympathy. Women also led the way to strikes, and that is why it is called International Women's Day. The government imposed a curfew as the fashionable quarters and official buildings were surrounded by the workers. So they had to impose a curfew. Army and police was called. Duma was suspended on 25th February. Parliamentarians they opposed the decision of Tsar to dissolve the Duma. The streets they were filled with demonstrators raising slogans about bread, wages, better hours, and democracy. Politicians, workers, and middle class people they began demonstrations demanding less working hours and more wages and democracy. They were later joined by cavalry. Cavalry, the soldiers on the horseback. So they were later joined by cavalry and the soldiers. The government called out the cavalry, but they refused to fire on the demonstrators. An officer was shot at the barracks of a regiment, and other regiments also mutinied and joined the striking workers. Soldiers जो थे और striking workers they gathered to form a Soviet or council in the same building where Duma met, and it was termed as It was termed as Petrograd Soviet. Petrograd used to be the capital of Russia at that time. Now it is called St. Petersburg. Soviet leaders and Duma leaders, they formed a provincial government to run the country. The Tsar was forced to abdicate, means he was forced to give up his throne, and a new provincial government was formed by the Soviet leaders. Russia's future would be decided by a constituent assembly, elected on the basis of universal adult suffrage. Petrograd had led to February Revolution that brought down the monarchy in February 1917. After February Revolution, what happened? What were its effects? Under the provincial government, army officials, landowners, and industrialists, they became influential. Liberals and socialists worked towards an elected government. They wanted to have a elected government. Restrictions on public meetings and associations were removed. In April 1917, Bolshevik leader Vladimir Lenin, he returned to Russia from his exile. Lenin demanded three things, and these were termed as the April Thesis. His first demand was that he wanted war to end, the World War II. He wanted Russia to pull out of the First World War. Secondly, land to be transferred to the peasants, and thirdly, the banks to be nationalized. He also emphasized on renaming the Bolshevik Party to the Communist Party. So worker movement spread throughout the summer. During this time in Russia, the committees of workers were formed to look into the working of the industries, and peasants under the socialist leader formed their own groups, and land committees were formed to handle the distribution of land to peasants. Factory committees were also formed, and trade unions, they also grew in number. When provincial government saw its power reduced and Bolshevik influence grew, they decided to take strong measures against the spreading discontent. Bolsheviks, they were suppressed by the provincial government because of their radical demands. In the countryside, peasants and their socialist revolutionary leaders, means these Bolshevik leaders, they pressed for the redistribution of land. Now, encouraged by socialist revolutionaries, peasants, they seized lands between July and September 1917. Now, there was a revolution in October 1917. Now, the conflict between the provincial government and the Bolsheviks, it grew. Bolsheviks, they entered an alliance with the Petrograd Soviet to overthrow this provincial government. They feared that the government will be turning dictatorial. So, on 16th October 1917, Lenin, he persuaded the Petrograd Soviet and the Bolshevik Party to agree to a social seizure, means capture of power. To organize the seizure, a military revolutionary committee was appointed by the Soviet under Leon Trotsky. Meanwhile, the military revolutionary committee ordered its supporters to seize, to capture government offices and to arrest the ministers. Military men who were loyal to government seized the buildings of two Bolshevik newspapers. Pro-government troops, means who were in support of government, were sent to take over telephone and telegraph offices and to protect the Winter Palace. So by nightfall, the city was under the committee's control and the ministers, they had surrendered. At a meeting of all Russian Congress of Soviet in Petrograd, the majority approved the Bolshevik action. While February Revolution led to end of monarchy in Russia, October Revolution it led to an end of provincial government. So Russia was declared as socialist country after the October Revolution. So this is Russian Revolution. One in Russian Revolution, two small revolutions were there. One was February Revolution and another was October Revolution. In February Revolution, what happened? It led to end of monarchy. It led to end of rule of Tsar Nicholas II, and October Revolution. It led to end of provincial government, which was formed after the Tsar abdicated the throne. So now this government, this provincial government, was also removed. So now we'll see what changed after October Revolution. Industries and banks were nationalized in November 1917, which meant that the government took over ownership and management of banks. Land was declared as social property, and peasants were allowed to seize the power of the nobility. In cities, large houses were divided into several quarters according to size of the family. The Bolshevik party, it was also renamed as the demand was there. It was renamed as Russian Communist Party Bolshevik. Elections were conducted in November 1917 for the Constituent Assembly, but the Bolsheviks they failed to gain majority. In January 1918, the assembly rejected Bolshevik measures and Lenin dismissed the assembly. Despite a lot of opposition in 1918, in March 1918, Bolsheviks they made peace with Germany at Brest-Litovsk. The Bolshevik participated in the election to the All Russian Congress of Soviet, which became the parliament of the country. Russia became one party state. Use of old aristocratic titles were banned. New uniforms were designed for the army and for the officials. On one hand, many people supported the Bolsheviks as they stood for socialism, and on the other hand, people were also disillusioned with the party because of the censorship imposed by them. The Bolshevik uprising it was criticized by socialists, liberalists, and nobility. The leaders of these groups moved to South Russia and organized troops to fight against the Bolsheviks. They were called the Reds. During 1918 and 1919, the Russian Empire was controlled by the Greens, socialist revolutionaries, and the Whites. Whites were pro-Tsarist, means those who backed Tsar, who were supporter of Tsar, and they were backed by French, American, British, and Japanese troops. As these countries were worried over the growth of socialism in Russia, so these troops and the Bolsheviks fought a civil war. Supporters of private property among whites took harsh steps with peasants who had seized the land. Such actions led to the loss of popular support of non-Bolsheviks. By January 1920, Bolsheviks controlled most of the former Russian Empire. In the name of defending socialism, Bolshevik colonists brutally massacred local nationalists. They succeeded due to the cooperation with non-Russian nationalities with Muslim jihadists. Most non-Russian nationalities were given political autonomy in Soviet Union, USSR. The state the Bolsheviks created for Russian Empire in December 1922. Making a socialist society. During the Civil War, industries and banks they kept nationalized. Peasants they were permitted to cultivate the land. Centralized planning process was introduced and 5-year plans were made. Officials worked on how the economy will work, and they set targets for 5 year periods. So during the first two 5 year plans, the government fixed the prices to promote industrial growth. So that was from 1927 to 1938, two 5 year plans were there. So centralized planning led to the economic and industrial growth, but the rapid construction led to the poor working conditions also. Schooling system dwelled, and arrangements were made for factory workers and peasants to enter universities. For women workers, crutches were available in factories for the children. Cheap public health care was provided. Model living quarters were set up for workers. Since the government's resources were limited, the effect of these measures were uneven. Trade unions were kept under party control. A process of centralized planning was introduced, and this led to economic growth. Industrial production increased, and extended schooling system dwelt. Collectivization of farms started. Now we will read about collectivization. Stalin and his policy of collectivization. The peasants refused to sell grain fixed by the government. The prices which were fixed by the government for selling. This led to shortage of grain supplies in many cities. Stalin took over the reins of the party after the death of Lenin. He introduced very strict measures. By 1927-28, the towns in Soviet Russia faced acute problem of grain supplies. Stalin introduced firm emergency measures. In 1928, party members to grain producing areas, supervising enforced grain collections and raiding kulaks. Kulaks, they were well-to-do peasants. So if you remember, after 1917, land had been given over to peasants. So certain kulaks were there who were being raided. From 1929, the party forced all the peasants to cultivate in the collective farms. Kholkai. The party converted small land holdings of many peasants into one collective large farm, and all large collectivized farms were cultivated by the farmers with the help of tools, and which were pooled together. The profit of the farms was later shared among the cultivators. So between 1929 and 1921, the number of cattle fell by one third. The government of Stalin allowed some independent cultivation, but treated such cultivators very unsympathetically. In spite of collectivization, production did not increase immediately, and due to the bad harvest of 1930-33, over 4 million people they died throughout the country. Accusations were made, and by 1939, over 2 million were sent to prisons or labor camps. Many peasants resisted the policy of collectivization. They were severely punished by the state. Many of them were deported and exiled. Now, what did the Stalin do? Many party leaders who criticized the policy of collectivization, they were punished and they were executed also. Many of his critics were put to labor camps and prisons. Some professionals were persecuted on criticizing the government. Innocent people were being executed. Now we'll check the global influence of Russian Revolution. Many people across the globe criticized the capture of power in Russia by Bolsheviks. But this fact cannot be denied that many workers and peasants in other parts of the world supported the Russian Revolution. In many countries, communist parties were formed, like Communist Party of Great Britain, Non-Russians from outside the USSR participated in Conference of People of the East. Bolsheviks, they founded Comintern, an international communist union of people supporting the Bolshevik socialist parties. So before the outbreak of Second World War, the USSR had given socialism a global face and world stature. The USSR became a great power, and its industries and agriculture had developed, and the poor were being fed. By 1950, it was realized that Russian government was not working according to the principle of socialism. Although Russia had become an industrial power and agriculture activities improved, it was seen that basic freedom of people, such as right to speech, were denied, and that development was result of repressive policies of Russian government. So by the end of 20th century, the international reputation of USSR as a socialist country had declined. Now, what was the impact of Russian Revolution on India? India was also impacted. It was also influenced by Russian Revolution, like other parts of the world. So several people in India attended the communist universities. The Communist Party was formed in India by mid 1920s, 1925. Jawaharlal Nehru and Tagore, they both wrote about Soviet socialism. Several prominent Indian political and social leaders visited Russia to understand the principle of socialism. Various writers wrote about Russian Revolution. In Hindi, R.S. Awasthi wrote in 1920-21 Russian Revolution. Lenin, his life and his thoughts, and later the Red Revolution. S.D. Vidyalankar wrote The Rebirth of Russia and The Soviet State of Russia. A lot about socialism was written in Bengali, Marathi, Malayalam, Tamil, Telugu, in many different languages. So, impact of Russian Revolution was, a lot of influence of Russian Revolution was there on India also. Till date we see. Later we added word socialism to our constitution also. We were so influenced by Russian Revolution. So this was how Russian Revolution happened. Initially, if we see, it was Tsar who was ruling, and he was removed from his throne. And after that, when Russia was losing in the Second World War, a new provincial government was formed. And later we see that in 1917 only, in October Revolution, first in February Revolution, Tsar was removed, and in October Revolution, provincial government was removed. And again, a new socialist government was formed under Lenin. So, with this, a chapter comes to an end. I'll come up soon again with a new topic. Till then, keep learning, keep revising.